vibe of the
Yeah,
recording
so that I
session
know
being
it's...
on. It's recording now?
Yeah,
You
it's
can
now.
obviously edit this out.
Yes.
Okay, so... Nice, here we go. Alright, so... I don't really trust the laptop being good enough for audio quality.
Okay.
So here's what I did.
Alright.
I put it on video,
Perfect.
record
Okay.
on my phone, and then like it didn't have to be recording anything,
Nice.
you know, but it gets that better audio quality.
Yes.
So you put this video file into the program, and you just isolate the sound of it, and use this sound of use the audio of this video
with
for
the
the
video.
overall. Yeah.
Yes,
So it's
engineer.
better quality.
Yes, geoneer.
Yes.
Geoengineer.
So it's better quality. Okay. So.
Alright.
And they don't line up, so you're gonna have to like watch for the mounting and the audio. So.
Okay.
Okay, so today we are interviewing Layla Hameen of Halo Arts, the founder, CEO, and innovator of healing and artistic endeavors. So, thank you for being on the show today, Layla.
Thank you.
Wait. Are we is that what I should say?
It's fine.
There's my other pen.
Okay.
Okay, so
It's okay.
cut.
It's okay. Just keep going.
So today we have Layla Hameen, and she's being interviewed by Tiger Voice Media. How are you today, Layla?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We've seen your show a couple times, and have been really impressed with your work, and are excited to be working alongside you in some of your artistic creations. So,
Thank you.
so who are you, and where are you from?
Well, I'm Layla B. Hameen. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, originally. I was born and raised there in Dayton, Ohio. I moved to Cincinnati for 2 months when I was 8, and then we moved back to Dayton. And then 2 weeks later, we moved to Bowie, Maryland, because my dad had a job transfer. So I went to 3 schools in the 3rd grade in 3 different cities. So I'm from everywhere, it seems like. Spent some time in Maryland, and then moved back to Cincinnati right before my 7th grade year.
So you had a pretty shaky environment growing up. Never really had a set foundation.
Yeah, at times. I got used to moving a lot, got used to going to new schools. Being a shy kid, it wasn't very easy, but, I had to learn to kind of just go with the flow. Yeah.
Would you say that it helped you be more in tune with yourself as far as, your emotions and thoughts as being able to harness them in an acting kind of situation?
I would say yeah, because I spent a lot of time being introverted, unless I was around my family. Now, around my family, I was the complete opposite of what I was like in school. Around my family, I was telling jokes, imitating people, making my mom laugh, cracking her up on the way home from school, stuff like that, making my sisters laugh because I wanted to be cool and be around them. They're older than I am, so I wanted to make them laugh so I could hang out in their room. Yeah, I wanted to impress them, and I wanted to hang out in their room and stuff, so I would make them laugh. And they'd be like, "Oh, you can stay," whatever. But
you were just intimidated being in public.
Yes.
As a young kid.
Yes, very.
I was like that too.
Very. I was super shy. I didn't like speaking in front of people.
What else did you do when you were growing up as far as, discovering acting? How long have you been into everything that you're pursuing is what I meant to ask. Like acting and teaching acting.
Well, I would say I started acting like really actually considering it acting when I was 11 years old, because I auditioned for a school musical, and I shocked like the whole school and my family, because they're like, you're gonna get up in front of people and sing and dance and act, like when do you start doing that?
Oh yeah.
So I auditioned with that, and then from there I decided like I really like doing this, so I want to be an actor at like age 11. I knew I wanted to do it. But as far as like auditioning professionally and being in films and now teaching acting, I would say I started on that journey probably maybe when I hit my 20s, I would say, because I took a break. Because at one point I thought I wanted to be a news anchor. So from high school on, it was like, well, I'll do drama, but my real job will end up being a news anchor, because that's the safe decision to do, to have a steady job.
Right.
You know.
Of course, yeah. The practical plan B that everyone kind of warns you to have. Don't get me started. So you were growing up, and pretty much you write your own scripts and like you write your own plays and stuff too. Is that what's going on?
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of just acting, like you write your own scenarios and kind of cinemas and things like that.
Yeah, I write my own scripts. Actually, I started writing before I started acting. I wasn't a big fan of reading when I was younger, so I always wanted to write my own stories. And so
Nice.
I would write stories, and the times that I didn't want to be shy in class, I'd be like, hey, I have this story I wrote, can I read it? And my teacher would be like, yeah, get up and get your folder and you can read it. And I would read this story, and sometimes I wouldn't finish it. And so it would be a half-written story, and I'd be getting to that point, to that page where it's not done, and I would look at my classmates and be like, hey, so what do you guys think happened next? Because I didn't finish it. And so they'd be like, we don't know, Layla, what do you think? I'm like, well, I wrote it, so what do you guys think? You know, they'd be like, well, we think the princess maybe fell in love. I'm like, maybe. You know, so like at times I wouldn't finish them.
So you're excited by like storytelling.
Storytelling when I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually started writing more. I've had journals since I was 10, and even probably before, but I have journals from when I was 10 up to now. But I started writing before acting and being vocal about it. So yeah, I wanted to do that specifically with Laid Off, because I wanted to tell my life story up until this point and maybe a little bit further on, but I knew that I was the expert of that, and I wanted to write, produce, and direct that story, because I felt like I don't think anybody else could direct it but myself.
So Laid Off, your project Laid Off, was a consequence of a big turning point in your life, would you say?
Yes.
Hence the name Laid Off.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. What happened in that time period?
Well, around that time, I was working for iHeartRadio Cincinnati. I had gotten a job in corporate radio, so I was the executive assistant.
So you were on your way to becoming a news anchor, pretty much.
Sorta, but like in the office aspect of it. So I wasn't seen. I wasn't really heard. But there were times that I did audio commercials. They would call me down to like the recording studios, and I would do like the only $99 for your air conditioner.
No
like
way.
air ads, yeah. So those would come out, and there would be times I'd be in my car,
that's hilarious.
and I'd be coming out of the office doing my corporate job, and I turn on the radio, and it's like this voice talking. It's like, thank you, you know.
And it was you doing those
Only
voices
$99
for the
your
commercial?
AC. Yeah.
Oh my
so
God.
I would do those because I knew I wanted to pursue something outside of being in the office. So I made friends with the engineers, and I said, hey, you know, if you ever need somebody to like do a voiceover, let me know. And they did a test run for me. They're like, you're good. Like, come on, we'll call you down. So I did one for like a gentleman's club. So like I was talking about like a strip club in one of them. It's like, go down for the beautiful girls. And
Oh no!
it's Wednesday, it's hump day. Like just random stuff. So like I got my experience doing voiceover work there. So, but my real job was the executive assistant to the vice president of engineering.
Nice.
So I worked with a bunch of really, really smart engineers, and I was the bubbly assistant that made coffee, got salads, and paid their bills essentially for the office. So that was my job for almost 3 years.
So you had some exciting voice acting experience.
Yes.
Had you ever considered that before in your life, like voice acting?
I had, because growing up, I come from a very creative family, even though they don't really pursue it the way I do. My mom is very creative with voices. My sisters are too. We've been making our pets talk since we had pets. They all had different voices and dialects and tones.
You have cats or dogs?
Cats. We
All
grew up in a
cats?
house of cats. I grew up in a house with 6 cats
Nice.
when I was younger. Yeah. So
And you gave them all voices.
oh, of course, yeah. There was Smokey, talk like this. Then there was Maxie, talk like this. And then there was like Misty, who talked like this. And
Oh,
then
no.
there was Teacup, who talked like this. And then there was Buttercup, that talked like this. And they all had different voices. And it was just normal for us. So I'm sure we had company over, and they're probably like, do y'all normally do this? So we're like,
Yeah, right.
Sorry, it's like natural human nature for us to make these
They're
animals
family
talk.
members, though.
Yeah, they had voices too.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, so with iHeartRadio, I worked there. I met some celebrities there too, which was cool. I got to go and meet a couple like musicians and stuff, like
Nice.
Leona Lewis. I went and talked to
cool.
her, and I had a bad heartbreak that year that she came, and I was like, your song Bleeding Love really like helped me. And she looked at me, she's like, oh Layla, that's what it's supposed to do.
Aw.
I'm very happy, it
To bring you
helped you.
healing.
You know, and I was just like, she's so pretty.
Oh, we're crying.
And she's a vegan. Maybe I should be vegan so I can be like that.
Aw,
You know, like yeah.
yeah.
But those were cool moments. But it all kind of ended when I got laid off. Budget cuts, and it wasn't personal, but it was literally they were cutting back on a lot of things, and my position got eliminated. And I had 15 minutes to pack up my box of everything on my desk and leave the premises and really not come back, I guess.
So that's how Laid Off came about.
Yeah, I got literally laid off.
The show that you've performed most, right?
Yes,
When,
over 30 times.
when did you last perform it?
Last full performance, was in August at Urban Artifact.
How long is your show usually?
My show is usually about an hour and a half.
Nice.
It started off an hour, but then people kept saying, "Didn't you used to teach at one point? Talk about those kids next time." And one day, like in a show, I just randomly broke out into some of my kids that I used to work with.
Nice.
And then I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. And then I'm like, oh, I'm kind of going over time, but like people are laughing, so why not? You know.
Are those the ones in the part of your play where you call them Munchkins?
The Munchkins.
Munchkin A, Munchkin B.
Yeah, Munchkins 1 through 8. Because while I got laid off, my next job was working as a teacher's aide at Roll Hill Elementary, and I worked in a special needs classroom, and I worked with 8 boys, and I was their teacher's assistant, and so they actually helped me with a lot of the voices that I would use in my show, because I portray myself as a child. And so I would ask them, like, just off the fly, like, hey, how would you say these lines or these sentences? How would you're 7, how would you say this? Because as a 30-year-old something, 30-something woman, I would be saying it as a 30-something,
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, that's not how I would have said that as
It's
a
hard to
kid.
remember the child perception.
Yeah.
of life.
I needed to figure out who was little Layla, who was 7, how was she acting? I mean, it wasn't necessarily like these children. But some point, like I was wild and having fun with my sisters, so I was more free. I needed to rediscover that, and those kids actually helped me rediscover it because they were bouncing off the walls, boom, bing, rah, rah, all the time, making noises and without fear. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful. I need to get into that.
Nice.
I need to learn from them. They're my acting teachers now.
So that's perfect for my next question. I had written down here
Oh, cool.
from your childhood. What is one special moment in cinema history that has really sparked that fire in you to be an actor or actress?
From childhood?
Yes.
Oh man, that's hard to pick one.
Just a couple of them.
A couple, okay.
Yeah, your favorites.
Well, my favorites was anything with Robin Williams in it.
Okay.
Because I distinctly remember when I watched Mrs. Doubtfire, there's a scene where he's calling as Mrs. Doubtfire, but it's before he gets to that particular voice. So he's calling with all these different voices. And it's when Sally Field's character is answering the call for the ad. And he's talking, he's like, hello, I'm calling for the governess thing. He goes, Layla, why don't you go now put the hose over there? And he says the name Layla as if he's talking to somebody. And I said, oh, he said my name as a kid. Just to hear Robin Williams go, Layla, what you doing over? Go put the hose down there. And that sparked something in me. And I loved him as the genie. And he was just like that father figure, in my head. I was like, man, he's Robin Williams. He can do anything. He's a genie. He can make dreams come true. He can make wishes come true. He's from another planet like me. Like all these things, So that particular moment where he went, Layla, why don't you go over there and pick the hose up right there? That made my day as a kid,
Oh, wow.
So
That's
if you YouTube it, look up that scene. He definitely does say Layla.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's another one?
Another one, I would say watching movies with Eddie Murphy Eddie Murphy was definitely, he was actually one of my first crushes when I was 3 years old. I think it was more so I was in love with his humor. Even though I didn't understand what he was saying, I thought he was funny how he would say it.
What movie?
I would say Boomerang and Coming to America. We watched those growing up in my family. And my mom...
You guys watched them all together?
Yeah, it was like a family thing, and there were some parts that maybe weren't really appropriate for my age, but I didn't know, I just thought he was funny. I thought he was making funny faces,
Yeah, he's hilarious. Like, his charisma, his character in general is just, wow, that guy's funny.
He's funny. He's been funny his whole life, so just like watching him in different characters and that and doing the Nutty Professor and just being funny. Like, he was my first crush. I made up a rap when I was 3, apparently, and it went, my name is Layla, I'm 3 years old, I like Eddie Murphy because he's bold.
No way!
I came up with that when I was 3. I don't remember. My mom told me that. She was like, you like Eddie Murphy? Wow. He's a little old for you, isn't he? And I'm like, I like him because he's bold. I'm 3 years old. I had bars.
No way, you were just...
I had bars of fire.
You're spitting it.
Literally. Spitting up baby oatmeal and loving him.
Oh my gosh. That's
hilarious.
Dude, that's funny.
So yeah, those are probably some more like...
So Robin Williams and Eddie Murphy were...
Yes.
Were two pretty much... like, I don't know how to put it, because...
Iconic?
Yeah, like... Yeah, the people that made the biggest impression in you, and that so much so that you were like, okay, that's me, that's what I gotta do, that's what I want to do, that's who I am.
Yeah.
So you got Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, who's a third one?
I guess throw a female in there.
Yeah.
I would say Whoopi Goldberg.
Nice.
Whoopi, because in Ghost and Sister Act especially, that's my era. Okay. Watching her Sister Mary Clarence, you in danger, girl. Like she just was so funny to me, And the fact that she did a one-woman show back in the 80s when it wasn't popular, for women to do stuff like that. Yeah. She wanted to get noticed more, so she did her own one-woman show in the 80s, and that's what got her. That's what got her. She's from New York originally.
New York. She was doing that out there by herself, like.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly how you're doing Laid Off. And
I mean, she started off grassroots, and eventually she would start off with like a couple people in the audience, then a couple more, then before you knew it, like Bette Midler ended up in her audience. And Bette Midler was like, this is a great show. Bette Midler was huge. So, and then it passed on, and then she was like, somebody else showed up, and then I think Steven Spielberg like randomly.
So what she was doing, she was inviting people to participate in her show?
To just watch it.
Oh, to watch it.
She was doing it in these theaters, and people would show up and just watch it. And it just started off grassroots. Then I think she did it. She did it for like a year. And before you knew it, somebody was like, I want to produce this for HBO. And she's like, oh, yeah, I would love to. She didn't hear anything from the person for months. And then they popped back up like, hey, you still want to do that thing for HBO? We want to do your show on HBO. Okay. And that's what got her a lot more roles.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, she was definitely an incredible actress in Sister Act. And Ghost.
And Color Purple. The Color Purple, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
You gotta watch it. It's a great one.
So you like Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, Whoopi Goldberg. Would you say that those are your top 3 favorite actors and actresses?
I would say in the line of work that I pursue with acting and improv and some comedic and some drama, I would say those are the 3, the king, prince, and queen.
It's kind of like your spirit guides throughout your...
Yeah, I would say so. And then if I put an asterisk next to one, I would say Freddie Prinze Sr. Because he had a very short career because he passed away at a very early age. But he was very fearless and how he did his comedic stand-up. And he was very just quick with his tongue and related stuff from his family and from his culture and elaborated and maybe made it more exaggerating. I can't speak English. He exaggerated a lot more within his family and his culture, but like that's like an alternate, I would say, Freddie Prinze Sr. Yeah.
He spoke Spanish?
Yeah, he was from Puerto Rico. Well, he wasn't from Puerto Rico.
So he would do some accents.
Yeah.
He would kind of comically personify his Hispanic heritage. Is that what you mean?
Like, oh yeah.
In ways that probably rub people the wrong way, or what?
Well, because he was from New York. He was from Washington Heights, and this is the 1970s.
Is there a big Mexican community up there?
In New York, there was a lot of Puerto Ricans.
Okay.
Yeah, but see, he was half Puerto Rican, half Hungarian, but he called himself a Hungarican. You know,
no
and he would say this one joke. He would say, what would he say? He's like, yeah, I'm half Hungarian, Puerto Rican. I get my light skin and my straight hair from my Hungarian side, so I get my nose and my mustache from my mom.
Oh.
Like literally saying his mom had a mustache, just being silly.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I was like, oh man.
And then,
I thought you were serious. Like, wow, she has a mustache.
Yeah, but he was like, I get it from my mom, and that would be a joke. And then he had a character. He was his landlord. He would make fun of him, and he would say, "Freddie, why you make fun of me? It ain't funny for you. It ain't my job." Stuff like that. So he was hilarious with that. So, and he influenced John Leguizamo, I think, too.
So he made an impression on you about as equally as Robin, Eddie, and Whoopi.
And Whoopi, yeah, and John Leguizamo too.
John Leguizamo.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you speak Spanish?
Sí.
Un poco, or probably average, like intermediate.
Español.
Yeah.
Pero necesito practicar mucho, pero yo puedo hablar en español, pero aprendo y comprendo y escuchando la música aprendí mucho, pero necesito practicar mucho. Sí.
So if you were to one day have a Spanish speaking audience, would you be able to connect with your fans?
Un poquito.
Perhaps include the language in your
Sí.
Your act.
I actually do speak a little Spanish in my show.
Oh, cool.
Very small.
Small amount.
Yeah, I say the line, yo no soy no boricua, soy afroamericana. And you have to see the show to know where that comes in at. And actually, that one of the nights I did that show in Columbus, there was somebody from Puerto Rico in the audience. And after the show, he said, "Man, you sound really Puerto Rican. You're really good." And I didn't want him to be offended, but he was just like, "You sound like you're from Puerto Rico. That's what's up. You did really good."
Oh,
so
cool.
I was like, "Oh, thanks, gracias." Yeah.
So people are gonna have to come see your show to find out what part of your show.
Oh
it's
yeah,
in.
there's multiple characters. You gotta find it. It's like, where's Waldo?
Do you see Laid Off or any of your other like performance ideas becoming movies or television series maybe?
I actually have been told that when people see Laid Off, they say it's like watching a movie.
I was about to say your hour-and-a-half performance seems like movie length.
Yeah, I feel like it could be a film. It would just need to be organized in such a way that it didn't lose that same quality as if you were seeing it live in an audience format. But
so if you had the resources, time, and money, would you want to put any of your ideas into film?
Yes.
Which one? What would you do? What would be your first debut film?
I feel like I would.
Written and directed by.
I feel like I would like to do Laid Off, because I feel like I would like to serve as director as that, because when it comes to playing myself as a younger child, I would like there to be an actual child playing that
so
role.
You would look for, people to audition. And, okay.
I need a wide-eyed girl. A girl with big brown eyes and really chunky cheeks to play little Layla. She has to have that shy demeanor but still be goofy.
And still have that wondering and curiosity about life in her eyes.
Yes.
Not yet afraid, even though she's shy.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is one movie that you wish you created, wrote, and directed?
Ooh.
Like if you were just that person who made that movie, what movie would it be?
Jeez, oh peas.
A movie that to you is just great cinema, great casting, great even film scoring.
Oh gosh. I wish I really could have directed gosh, that's a hard question.
Yeah.
There's so many, but I gotta select it. I would probably say I wish I could have directed Carmen Jones, starring Dorothy Dandridge, back in 1952, 53, I want to say. It's an older movie. I want to direct that because it was a movie that had a predominantly African American cast, but they sang opera, so it was from Bizet's opera Carmen. So all the music was scored from Bizet's Carmen, but they were actually often lip synced. They had few people that were trained opera singers on set back then.
So it was also African American music.
Well, it was just opera.
Or written by it.
It was by Bizet. So Bizet, I'm not sure where Bizet is from. I feel like he's from somewhere in Europe. but
I
it was
see.
opera. So they used the original operatic music, but these African American actors within the musical were either lip syncing the lyrics or actually really singing it, because there were some that were like trained opera singers.
Was there a big part of it that you related to?
Yes. I would say because when I was a little girl, my mom showed me that movie because she was a fan of Dorothy Dandridge when she was younger. And I connect with Dorothy Dandridge as an actor because she's from Ohio. And she her childhood was a lot worse than mine, but had some trauma in her childhood and had some issues dating and love and romance and, being, manipulated within her life. But you could see that on camera, but she still was so glamorous. You could see that she was a great actor. She wasn't just a beautiful face. She had a lot of substance and depth to her. And my mom showed me that. And first I was like, wow, these people are singing opera. This is cool. But then, growing up now, I'm like, well, she was actually putting a lot of her emotion into that role. She was actually, probably reflecting on some hurt and dealing with, a lot of things growing up. Being in a film in a time where the world was still segregated, but she was like becoming a movie star in it. She couldn't swim in the pools that she would go travel into, but they would let her perform and be a nightclub act, but she wasn't allowed to use the bathrooms. There was just a lot, but she still maintained this glamour.
She was so graceful
very
and beautiful.
Yeah, they wouldn't let her swim in pools.
She didn't let the world beat her down.
Not on camera. No, but eventually she ended up just getting... She had some mental issues I read about, and had
in
some...
this world, who doesn't?
Yeah, she really... Yeah, but she, she had a lot of stuff.
So she used acting and filmmaking as like a way to be strong about her pain.
She had to overcome a lot. Even in some films, she would have to... her ex-boyfriend or ex-lover directed another film she was in, and when she found out he was on set, she didn't realize, because he was new on the set, he replaced another director, and he saw her and he made sure she had the worst time ever. He would say, you're horrible, you're disgusting, you're this, you're terrible, right before her sets and before she had to go to set. So
it would be hard to just like go perform after that.
Yeah, imagine being on set with an ex, number one. Number two, he's your boss. Number three, like, it didn't end well, and he's gonna make sure you're like broken before you get on set. So beyond all that, I feel like she still, as far as being an image, she had a glamorous, classy like image, even though I know she was kind of broken on the inside.
So it was almost healing for her to play these roles and have that time away from reality and
I'd like to imagine
these characters.
Yeah, I imagine that probably was a good place of solace for her before she passed away.
So, healing is a big theme in your life as well, isn't it? Tell us a bit about your Halo Arts, what is it, project, or what is it?
I call it an initiative at this point. So Halo Arts, it stands for Healing Above Living Obstacles, so Halo, Halo, and it's basically,
so that's kind of like, so healing above living obstacles, that's like the whole philosophy behind your initiative.
Yes.
Okay.
Healing above living obstacles. Because I thought about the name Halo, and I thought, when you hear the word Halo, you think about something angelic. You think about light. You think of something fresh, something clean, like maybe a cloud, or, because I like to consider everybody has a halo above their head, and sometimes they shine brighter than others, but maybe it's dimmed for a reason, maybe it's tired, maybe it's abused, maybe it's broken for time being, or maybe it just needs something to tweak it to make it a little more brighter, even if it's a smile that makes your halo bigger. So with that, I just want to encourage others to use acting and storytelling and performing to rise above your obstacle, rise above your adversity, because it certainly helped me overcome depression. It's something I still battle with, but definitely performing and helping others perform and expressing myself creatively has definitely helped me a lot in progressing with and dealing with depression.
It's a reason for you to get up out of bed and move on with life, despite the heavy, heartbreaking times. Well, that's good. What kind of things do you plan on accomplishing with Halo Arts?
Well, with Halo Arts, I would like to create, I will be creating some community acting classes. So that's one of my initiatives. I'm currently teaching a class for Dawn Community High School. They have a Dawn Community Arts program, which they call DCAP. And this is my first time teaching acting, especially at the high school level. So I'm basically getting the building blocks.
So you're working with teenagers right now?
Right now, yes. Teenagers that have experienced any type of adversities. So they're within the arts program, so they can choose singing, dancing, acting, writing, but I handle the acting aspect of the program. And so with Halo, we're there to basically introduce them to acting, expressing themselves, letting them know it's okay to make a mistake. Just go back and run it back again. Just understanding that you have a voice and it's important. You may not want to be an actor, or you may just, want to just get out of your regular class, but from this class you will learn how to communicate better.
And this is what you've been able to offer so far to the students
so far,
at
yes.
Dawn Community High School.
And I would love to do that for the community in Cincinnati.
So you don't have any other space for Halo Arts right now?
I'm currently looking for
conduct
locations.
business. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like spotting out different locations. I want to make sure I hit populations and areas where there are not a lot of acting classes available. There's other places you can go, but oftentimes they're not very affordable or accessible. So
What kind of spaces are you looking for?
I'm looking for any type of open space, anywhere that's safe, open, that's close. Maybe somebody could walk to, or maybe get a short ride to. Just anything that's accessible. I need a roof, a floor, and some heat or AC if possible. Things like that. I can make it happen anywhere. If I can do a one-woman show with the box and take it to anywhere, I can teach anywhere.
You've performed in parking lots, huh?
I literally have, yes. In living rooms and...
Yeah. Sides of streets and...
Literally, yes.
All kind of fun places. Wasn't there a 24-hour show that you were a part of once?
Yeah, I did a performathon for Peak. There's an art gallery called Peak. In Covington, Kentucky. And they had a 24-hour performathon, so it was all sorts of performance art. So some people were in cages for an hour, like each artist had an hour. So some people did like a demonstration of them being in a cage writing letters, like it really vast. And there's like musicians that performed for an hour. Then there was, so I submitted and I got accepted. And I performed an hour version of Laid Off, and it was strictly an hour because the buzzer would go off when your hour was up. So I was, it ended when it ended.
Yeah.
And I went on at midnight. And I had like a small audience, but there was people that were able to watch it through the live stream. But I had, a couple people in the audience that just stuck around and waited until midnight. And that was great, just being able to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. People are willing to hang out.
Yeah. To see something they've never seen before.
Yeah. So you're based in Cincinnati, Ohio?
Yes, for now.
For now. Until a great opportunity calls you away from home, huh? Yes. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you would like to add to maybe those looking for something to do in their lives, or maybe struggling, or just anything that you can think of that I haven't offered you space and time to talk about?
Well, I would just say if anybody's going through anything personal, whether it's like within your mental health or financial or what have you, everybody's going through obstacles. And it's not my job to say that your obstacle is less than somebody else's. I'm not into measuring trauma. Trauma's trauma, stress is stress. You can't say, oh, that's not that bad. That doesn't work for everybody because everybody handles things differently. I would just say hold your truth. Hold on to it as if you were holding on to your best friend's hand and don't let it go. Remember, you're the expert of your own experience. No one can tell you your own experience but you. You have a lot to offer in this world, even if it feels like there's darkness. Remember, the sun does come out eventually, even if you gotta turn the light on yourself.
Yeah. A way to turn on the inner light.
Yes, the inner light. I'm not saying run up your electricity bill, but turn it up. And to also check out the show this Sunday. Laid Off Live will be performed this Sunday, which is November the 17th. It's going to be at the Listening Loon in Northside on Hamilton Avenue, 4124. Tickets are $10.
Nice.
You can buy them on Eventbrite, so you can go to the Eventbrite online and then type in Laid Off a One-Woman Show, or you can go to the Laid Off website, which will be at the bottom of the screen here, and you can also go to the Facebook page, and it's only $10. And when you pay your admission, you're not only supporting independent theater and DIY theater and mental health and self-healing, you're supporting the future classes for Halo Arts. So it's not just $10 that you're spending to see a play. you're seeing something be developed from that.
Mm.
So it's a great great personal investment.
I think that was a good interview.
I do too.
That was nice.
All right, you ready?
How do you want to end it?
That
That was a good ending.
was a good inning.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Nice. 30-minute interview.